Our first story, titled, Am I the a-hole for calling the cops when my boyfriend's sister left her children with me for a few days, which ended with her getting a felony charge? I am pretty sure I am the a-hole, and I did not think something this bad would happen. This happened about a year ago. Me and my boyfriend have been together for 5 years. His sister, Claire, has a 1-year-old baby, Alex. Claire is a single mom and sometimes drops her baby off at our place when she has some errands to run. I will be honest here. I have no clue how to take care of a baby. I play with the baby, but other than that, my boyfriend usually takes care of Alex. My boyfriend work is on-site, so he usually isn't home for 4 days and then comes home for 3 days. One day, Claire asked my boyfriend if she can drop off Alex for the day. Boyfriend was supposed to leave for work that evening. Since she had said that she will pick up the baby by evening, he didn't mention that. Big mistake. He left around 5 p.m. I was waiting for Claire and kept calling her. She picked up the phone around 8 p.m. and told me that she went to a place few hours away with her friends. She told me to tell boyfriend to take care of Alex for next 3 to 4 days. I told her that boyfriend already left for work. Then she just told me, then you take care of Alex. I will be back in 4 days. And then she hung up on me and switched off her phone. I freaked out hard. I cannot call boyfriend because he is unreachable on site. Neither of us have family in the state that we could have called. I called few friends but no one gave me anything helpful. The bag she gave me with Alex only had diapers left in it. The baby was crying her head off and I didn't even know what to feed her safely. I literally didn't know how else to do, so I called the police and told them what happened. They directed me to a social worker. While the social worker was helping me take care of the baby, the cops called the cops where she was to locate her. The cops found her high marijuana and she had enough on her for them to classify it as possession and intention to sell. Edit, I don't think she actually sold anything. She probably just brought enough for her and her friends for the next few days. She didn't get any jail time. She had to do community service and plead guilty. And fortunately, that also meant she got a felony conviction. This got her fired, and she hasn't been able to hold on to a good job since. In my defense, I only wanted her to come back because I didn't want anything to happen to Alex because I am not capable of taking care of her. I did not think she was doing anything that would get her arrested. In her defense, she has left Alex at our home plenty of times, so it's not unreasonable for her to think that I would have no problem taking care of Alex for a few days. Also, this was probably the first time she took a break for herself since Alex was born. My boyfriend was pissed in the beginning, but came around later. Their parents also think I wasn't in the wrong. She obviously hates me and thinks I ruined her life because she wanted a break for a few days. This got brought up recently at a family dinner, which is why I ask, am I the a-hole? Now for more info and top comments. Not the a-hole, only a few diapers for 3 to 4 days? Dropping off her baby without agreeing to a time frame and then going to get high with friends? I don't think your boyfriend's sister is ready to be a mom. This is neither a great wake-up call for her or a sign that the baby should be elsewhere. Your intention was to ensure the baby was safe. That automatically makes you not the a-hole. When she dropped the baby off, she really meant to pick her up in the evening, which is why the bag didn't have anything but diapers, and the bottle/food she packed was already empty. Going to another place for a few days was a spontaneous decision. But once you have a child, there's no room for spontaneous decision. You can't have a child and just spontaneously decide to go on a 4-day trip. That's part of the responsibility that comes with a baby. Yes, thank you. You can't afford to be spontaneous when you have a child and fail to make proper arrangements beforehand. She was ridiculously irresponsible, and honestly, the entitlement of telling OP to take care of the baby then switching off her phone knowing that her brother was unreachable. That's a neat way to show the world what a failure of a parent you are, honestly. Not the a-hole. Out of the blue for 4 days? I would consider this close to child abandonment. That's exactly what it is. Especially because the mom left her child with someone who isn't a family member and wasn't aware ahead of time. What in the world? As a parent, I can't even imagine being able to turn off my mom brain enough to just leave my kid for 3 to 4 days without contact. Not the a-hole. This is horrifically irresponsible. She didn't let you know she was leaving the kid there for days? She didn't leave enough diapers or food? She didn't rush back when you asked her to? All wrong. Now for the second story. Am I the a-hole for mocking my brother for getting rejected by his dream college that I got into because he keeps tormenting me over it? My brother Jake, 18 male, and I, 17 female, had the same dream college, H University. Also, in case you're confused by the ages, we're 1.5 years apart, but I skipped a grade, so we were in the same grade for nearly our entire life. Jake was way more passionate about H University than I was. He had several H merch clothing and kind of just assumed he was going there. For example, in conversations, he'd say things like, "Once I'm at H," or "After I go to H, my plan is." Basically, his life plan rested on him going to H. Jake and I got along pretty well. We'd sometimes give each other advice or study together. However, during college app season, he got super competitive once he realized I was also applying to H. He'd refuse to study together, look over each other's essays, and he'd constantly tell me to not even bother applying. Then, decisions came out and we opened them at the same time. I was accepted, and he was rejected. Jake had a massive panic attack, and instead of celebrating my acceptance with my family, I sat in my room all day because Jake would get furious when he saw me. I once even caught him trying to unlock my laptop to decline my offer, since his friend DM'd me to warn that he had been talking about doing that. My parents obviously punished him for that, which made it so much worse. When my H sweatshirt came in, he screamed at me for showing off when I just put it in my closet. He told so many people that I only got in because I was a girl and that H mixed the siblings up. Honestly, I felt bad for him because I would be crushed too if I were him. Every time I tried to get him to stop, it got worse. So I just kept tolerating it. I thought it'd get better after the summer, once college actually started. It has not. Now it's really set in that he is going to a, good in my opinion, state school and not H. His anger is largely compounded by the fact that he's going to the same college that he used to condescend other students about aiming for. My classes start soon, so I've been setting up in our study, which I share with Jake. Both of our rooms are tiny, with no room to study in, so we share a study with 2 desks that face away from each other. Jake cleared out my whole desk and broke my lamp in the process. He says that I need to study in my room, so he can use the study without distractions for his classes. We've always both worn headphones. There's literally no distraction. He just doesn't want to see me taking classes at H. I'm so freaking done. I just want to be proud that I got into this college and actually learn crap without my brother screaming at me about it. Where I might be the a-hole. We got into an argument, and I told him that of course he got rejected since H didn't take toddlers. I've also been wearing my H sweatshirt around the house constantly, which he gets angry about. He kept bothering me, so I superglued H rejection letters in the drawers of his desk, so he has to see them when he opens them. Now for the top comments. After reading what you did, everyone sucks here. This is escalating. Where are your parents in all this? For college-bound kids, you both need to grow up. Yeah, valid. I was being a dick. My parents don't want to get involved and think we need to settle it between ourselves. If need be, they'll separate us to our rooms and talk to us, mom to Jake, dad to me. Staying away from each other doesn't really possible when you live in the same house though. Dad usually says things like, "Just tolerate it. Your brother is hurting right now, but it will get better once." Milestones in a few months from the talk. Yikes, that's some bad parenting. They aren't doing your brother any favors by letting him act out like this. They cannot let his hurting be an excuse to bully, torment, and destroy property. This thing has escalated long past settle it yourselves. Time for them to step up and provide guidance and enforce some actual household rules. Yeah, if the sequence of events is accurate, then the parents had months to de-escalate and help correct the issue, and then OP didn't need to retaliate after months of torment. I know I wouldn't have been able to deal with months of this. Not the a-hole. Your brother is hitting obsessive levels of jealousy. Trying to decline your offer letter? What a horrible thing to even think of. He deserves the rejection letters in the drawers. Lol, that's hilarious. Even though it was a little mean, he did ask for it. At this point, your parents really need to step in and tell him to calm down already. You didn't do anything to affect his college acceptance. You don't deserve any jealousy. It's 100% not your fault, and he is having an unhinged level of aggression towards you over it. It's not okay. Of course, OP was bound to get angry, and it's the parents' fault as well. However, OP, I feel that gluing papers of rejection to the desk was a bit inappropriate. I'd rather wish you and your parents together talk to him about it. Tell him that it's not the end of the world. Hopefully they'll knock some sense into him and help this situation end. I agree here. This is escalating, not getting better. Your brother needs help. Can you confront your parents about getting him some counseling, some kind of help processing? Because it sounds like he really needs it. Mom and dad, brother is hurting and it's not getting any better. He's making life miserable for all of us, and especially himself. Please, can we get him someone to talk to? Everyone sucks here. Your brother has been acting out in an extreme way. I think your parents need to get more involved in that respect. It sounds like you both still live at home. You sounded quite reasonable until the last paragraph. I get that he pushed you to this point, but gluing the rejection letters into his desk definitely solidified you as an a-hole. He tried to decline her acceptance. I think he had it coming, not the a-hole. And now our last story, titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to use my property? This is not gonna be a long post, and it doesn't need more backstory than my grandmother died and left me some property. I was freshly 18 at the time of her death, and so I let my parents handle most of the lawyer stuff. I know, dumb. Well, cut to now. I'm 22 and about to graduate college. I got a job related to my studies in the same city as the property is. So I started making a Pinterest board of how I decorate, since it would be the first time I'd live in a place where I could truly make it my own. My mother, who follows me, saw the board and asked me about it, and I told her it was for the property, since I'd be moving in as soon as I graduate. She panicked but didn't bring it up further. Later that night, my father arrived and immediately sat me down to tell that they were renting the property, and I legally wouldn't be able to evict the tenants in 3 years. I got a little mad and asked where the money was then. Both my parents were offended and told me they were using it to look after my grandpa, which I have no problem with. I agreed to let the people renting stay and rent a place myself close to my job while the lease agreement ended. I communicated this to my parents, and my mother flew into a rage and told me the money from the rent would go to my grandpa until he died, then to her sister, who's 55 and well off by the way, and then to support them financially in their seniority. They called me selfish and greedy. I told them how was it selfish for me to want something to rely on when poverty in my country is very prevalent. My mother said it was her mother's property, so she has more right to it than I do. I threatened to press charges and they kicked me out. They told me I could go back and access my savings I've been building up since I was 15, which they control, if I apologize for being so greedy. I know I probably shouldn't have threatened to press charges, but it irks me that they decided to do this without my consent or even letting me know. I need help because I'm scared of jumping couch to couch during the pandemic. Edit. So I contacted the only lawyer I know, my godfather, who's my father's best friend, so I was scared scrapless that he'd go running to tell him. Apparently, I trusted him enough to tell him. He directed me to a colleague of his, who's a property lawyer in my country. And I'm contacting him now, showing him everything I have. My father hasn't attempted to call me in a narcissistic rage, so I assumed he hasn't heard about it. I'll gather my options and try to talk it out with my parents before serving them. If they still refuse to let me make use of my property, then I'll for sure sue them. My godfather offered to pay for his colleague to help me out and also offered me to stay at his, which is very nice of him. So at least I won't be sleeping in my car anymore. As soon as I know my options, I'll apologize and do what I said above. I'm still a bit nervous about my godfather telling my dad, but he's the only lawyer I know about. Second edit. Since people seem confused about this, I pay property tax every year. My savings are in cash. I have found a lawyer through my godfather, and I'm talking options with him. I personally paid for all the repairs and renovations the property needed. I have found through my aunt, she's cool, I think my parents just used her as a tool, that they did the whole renting process through another uncle, and they all thought I was aware of it because they apparently had electronic copies of my signature and ID. What the F? My family seems to be supporting me so far. I also managed to find out they're making $650 American off of rent. I have confirmed that the money is going towards my grandpa, his bills, food, hospital, and medicine bills. That is all I know so far. I will try to contact my parents only with my lawyer present when I have a solid plan. I will update then. Also, I'm a female. I don't know if that would change anyone's perception of this. Now for the top comments of this post. Not the a-hole. Lawyer up. Now. This is the only response you need to read. Not the a-hole. What the hell is wrong with your parents? They should have never rented it out without asking you in the first place. Now, they are basically telling you that they have been planning to use it as their extra piggy bank for their whole lives? What did they think would happen? That you just forget about a property or something? They are being selfish, hun. You've been already pretty accommodating by not blowing up with rage when you found out you couldn't use your property for the next 3 years because of them. I would even go as far as getting legal help with this. They clearly took advantage of your naivety when you were younger, but with a lawyer, I'm sure you can get control back. My mother says since she lived there in college, she should be able to benefit from it. I don't see why that makes sense to her or why they'd want a piggy bank. They both work great jobs, and my father owns a company that is doing well enough. If you browse r/raised by narcissists, you might find an answer to your mom's behavior. Not a guarantee, just have a look and see. I found that the real narcissist is my father, and my mom just an enabler. This is the first time she's acted like this for something I said that wasn't about my father. Not the a-hole, and you need to get legal advice ASAP. You've been more than generous in allowing your parents to spend the money from the alleged tenants on your grandfather. After he passes, it's up to you to decide where the rental income goes next, not your parents. Be careful, it really seems they're taking advantage of you. I love my grandfather dearly, and I really have no problem in the money going to him, and it really seems like it is, but my parents hold my savings over my head and that scares me. Are your savings in a bank account? Are you named on that and alone or together with your parents? If they are your savings, your parents can take that money from you, but it's best to make sure it's secure ASAP. It's physical money in a safe in the house. My separate bank account barely covers rent for a month, and I only have a half-time job income as I am still studying. And that's the end of our video. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.